Hello, you wonderful people, and welcome to another episode of Not Too Comic Book. This being a show where we talk about TV shows that are adaptations of comic books. For today's episode, I'm going to talk about Watari-kun is About to Collapse, Season 1, Episode 8. Great episode, a lot of really interesting things went down in this episode, so let's break it down. So, we're picking up where the last episode left off with Makina showing up, and it's not until she calls him Senpai, and it's like, why would she call me Senpai? And then he finally remembers who she is. Him and Makina actually went to middle school together, and it creates this really interesting dynamic where it's like three girls in his life who basically all potentially have fallen for him at three different points in their life, well, and points in his life. Like obviously him and Satsuki go back to them being in elementary school, him and Makina go back to him in middle school, and now him and Yukari in high school. So it's interesting. And obviously, like, she's this track star, because that's actually how he knows her, because she was like a really famous, people came to interview her and stuff like that because of how great she was in middle school. And he was only on the team because it was like, his school was like, yeah, you kind of have to either join a club or join, like a sports club type of thing, or rather. So it's like, he was only there, he basically says in name only, he didn't really participate. So it ended up being this interesting thing where like she's mainly here, or she used it as an excuse to tell him like, yo, the boss didn't know how to contact you because you don't have a smartphone. So it's like, oh, like I just wanted to contact you and let you know that you got the job. And so she's actually going to take him to go get a phone. You could tell she was actually getting a little annoyed with him getting so close to Satsuki. She was just kind of like, come on, let's go. You don't have a girlfriend or anything. And he can't say anything because obviously Yukari is like God, what's the word I'm looking for? The most, like, one of the most beloved people at the school. So he's like, like last episode was the whole thing of, if I tell people the truth, they'll rip me to pieces. So they're still keeping that low key. And even Satsuki's trying to make Yukari feel better. It's like, right, he's not the type to cheat or whatever. He's only saying that because there's so many people around. And Yukari's like, no, I know what kind of person he is. I know, like, that would never be something even remotely close to being something that Naoto would do. And so he gets dragged off by her to go shop for a phone. And ultimately they do. It ended up being expensive, he says. I can only assume he paid for it and not her. Just because I was like, because there was no conversation like that. And I'd assume, like, even though they went to a cheaper store, like, I think he would never feel comfortable putting someone else kind of like being in someone else's debt in that capacity. So I'm sure he paid for it himself. But she's like, oh, let me be the first contact. And lo and behold, who's the first person he actually calls? Of course, it's Yukari. And he's like, oh, I want you to be the first person I call. And obviously when she hangs up, she gets so excited. I'm like, I'm the first person he called. Yay. And it's like, oh, who was that you were talking to? He's like, oh, that's my girlfriend. It's like, wait, you said you didn't have a girlfriend. He's like, yeah, but that was in front of everybody else. And it's like, wait, who is it? And she's thinking it's Satsuki. He's like, no, it's not her. It's like, well, who is it then? It's like, I'm keeping that a secret. So, well, now that we've done this, I'm going to leave. Bye. See you at work. And then bounces. Because he ended up saying something interesting, too, when they were on their way to get to the cell phone. Because she is like, oh, why were you trying to kiss me? He was like, no, it was a misunderstanding. I thought I recognized you, but I just couldn't place it, so I got super close to you. She's like, well, you can't help it. Like, I'm super cute. Because something he noticed, he's like, oh, you're a lot showier and a lot more conceited than you used to be. It's like, oh, she's definitely... once again, I always have to draw parallels to other stuff I'm watching. It's like definitely in her, well, I could say season 1 Ira bag. She's not as in that bag anymore, character growth and stuff. But it's interesting because for Naoto, it's like, why do you remember me? The fact of the matter, I mean, she didn't immediately recognize him, but it's not until she looked at his file and saw his name. And again, I think that's what sparked it all for her. But it's like, yeah, the fact is you would even remember me. He's like, we were different grades. And also, like, yeah, we were on the same, like, track team, but, like, we met each other every once in a while during, like, practice. I was mainly on the bench the entire time, so. But then she's immediately like, don't sweat the small details. So we see later on, though, like, after they parted ways, she went and she's apparently been skipping practice. And now some of the girls on her team are bad-mouthing her, like, really? Because she got into her school on a scholarship because of track. But it seems like she's not putting forth any effort anymore. And I'm curious why. It's interesting because, like, there's definitely something there, and I'm wondering. I think maybe something happened in her life where she just doesn't feel the need. Like I guess for her, like she gets all the accolades just for this and that. So like, what's the point of trying? Because she even talks about it at the job her and Naoto have, where it's like she's like, I was actually going to try to do the bare minimum, but for her it felt good being praised for doing a good job because she's like, it's been such a long time. Because I guess maybe no one ever praised her anymore because like once again in middle school she was like this big thing, but now that she's in high school, I don't know, she started feeling less special, and like she kind of was like she got high off her own supply in regards of she started believing what people said about her, and now that she came to high school she became less special, and maybe she just because of that she just kind of was like, oh, why try? So she's missing practice, she's not doing good at all because she's not really putting forth the effort, and I think maybe it's just like she's like, I'm too good to put forth the effort, or I just don't want to. Like I'm wondering what that's exactly stemming from. But yeah, like now the other people on her team are bad mouthing her. Her captain's getting on her about skipping and stuff like that. But now she's got it in her head like, I can't believe someone like Naoto. He used to be so like, someone plain like him could end up getting a girlfriend. So I wonder who could fall for him. She's like, you know what I'm going to do? I'm just going to break them up. I'm like, that's where you go? You're not even like, well, I'm happy for him or anything. Because for her, it's like, she wants Naoto for herself because it's like, oh, so I can he's meant to be a toy. He's our plaything. I don't think it's meant to. I don't know if she's coming from the perspective of, like I said, I don't know if she originally liked Naoto back when they were in middle school and just nothing ever came of it, or whether it's just a thing of, oh, like when I get bored, I want to play thing. And, you know, like I said, she's conceited enough that she likes all the love and attention. And it's like, right, the fact is Naoto isn't giving her any attention. It's kind of that like reverse psychology thing of like, oh, because you don't want me, I want you. But like I said, it might also stem from like she did like him. Because even like when he was like talking to Satsuki about like, they were having that conversation about, you know, him getting the job and congratulations, and they seemed close, and that irked her nerves. Because like I said, I think maybe even in middle school, she was like the only like girl maybe he ever stared at or something like that. So for her, it's just like, or like I said, maybe it's just in that instant, every boy around is focused on her except for Naoto. He's focused on Satsuki. I think that's why she's so like adamant of, oh, that's definitely got to be your girlfriend. Because it's like, well, because Yukari was sitting nearby, but she's sitting behind him. So it's like, if that was your girlfriend, you'd probably be sitting together. But once again, they're trying to keep it low key at the school. Probably also it doesn't help that like the guys gravitated towards that table just to sit close to Makina, and also Satsuki, of course, is going to be nearby. Like, it isn't just Yukari bothered by it, because even Satsuki was kind of annoyed, just being like, like when Makina was talking, you know, and Naoto were talking about like the past and stuff in middle school, because even though she's been out of Naoto's life for like 6 years, it's still kind of like, kind of irked about the stuff that you missed out on. And it's like, oh, it's that thing of like, yo, stop talking about things that didn't involve me being, because it's like for her, Naoto never left her mind in all those years, but now it's like, oh, here's all these other girls that have come into your life before I came back into your life. Now it's like, oh, here's someone you met in middle school and there's something there. Oh, here's someone you met in high school, Yukari, and there's something there, you know. So either way, like I said, Makina's plan is to try and break Yukari and Naoto up. Luckily, she doesn't know who Yukari is because he's kept that a secret. Doesn't even give her Yukari's name. But either way, they go to their job, and once again, she's not putting forth the effort. In fact, she's trying to get like super close to him and stuff like that, but he's pushing her away. She's like, wait, I'm being rejected? Like I said, it doesn't seem like she's used to that, and that's what's kind of throwing her. She tries to like take her hair down, unbutton her shirt, but then he buttons her back up and is like, hey, this is a place of professionalism. You shouldn't do that. And even their boss kind of chastises her. So he does her hair for her because she couldn't really get it back tied up again. And he's like, yeah, I'm used to doing this because of my little sister. And for her, it's like, light bulb moment. You're treating me like a little sister, like a little kid because I'm younger than you. It's like, well, and he even says later on, like when he's talking to Yukari, where he's like, oh yeah, like because she's like, oh, how was work? How was things with working with Makina? It's like, oh yeah. She's like, yeah, she's kind of like she's a little annoying, so she's kind of like a big little sister. And then her Yukari's word expression goes, oh, okay, good. Because she was like, all her concerns got waved away. She's like, oh, you view her like a sister? Cool. Good. It's all great then. You know, that immediately switched up the moment she was like, oh, cool, you don't even view her like, you see her like a little sister. So that, you know, so, which makes Yukari feel great, but it bums Makina out. But either way, it's actually Naoto saying like, right, you can do anything if you put your mind to it. It's like you're a track star and stuff like that. And so it made Makina wanted to kind of, I guess, almost live up to his expectations of her. And she works hard and gets praised, and it feels nice. But then she gets called out by Satsuki, who came to pick up some of her stuff from her locker, and she's like, "You're not wearing a sports bra, even though you're supposed to be on the track team." It's like, well, once again, she's skipping track and stuff like that, and also feels on her boobs and like, "Oh, you're an A cup." Yeah, Naoto likes girls with big boobs. It's like, well, not exclusively, but I think Satsuki's playing a double fold thing there because maybe on some level she feels that way, but more so than anything, I think, I don't know. I think that was more so her to like, she's like, I see who you are and what you're up to, and it's like, no, I'm gonna like nip that in the bud. You have no chance. You're flat chested. He only likes big boobed girls. I mean, but like I said, maybe there is a little truth to that because all she refers to Yukari as is like, oh, Miss F cup. So there's something there too, So maybe on some level she believes it, but it's also like, I'm also nipping this in the bud that making you believe you don't have a chance. But is she also doing that a little selfishly because she also doesn't want, it's already bad enough with him being with Yukari and just like, but we're friends, so I can at least stay close to you. Last thing I want is another girl like who seems to try to get close to me. I'm removing competition. I don't know if Satsuki necessarily views it that way, but it's a possibility. Either way, Naoto was going to meet up with Yukari for like a date or like them hanging out, but he runs into Makina, once again, believing Satsuki's his girlfriend, and then like he sees her and he's trying to figure out like, well, she's supposed to have gotten a new job, and he follows her because he's worried. Because he'd even earlier in the episode, they were eating some of the vegetables they had grown, and he's noticing she's lost some weight, and he's wondering if she's like really okay. Because he's almost wondering like the way she's eating too is like, is this the only like proper meal she's having sometimes? And so he followed her into this very like adult business orientated place, like adult maid cafe, some very adult like establishments. And he's worried like, yo, is she working here? But he's like, no, there's no way. They happen to run into Makina's captain, and she's like, yo, I can't believe you're wasting time with someone from another school, and also I can't believe you're leading her on, yada yada. Is you're the reason why she's skipping? Before she could say anything, Makina pushes her away. And so Naoto eventually goes and he meets up with Yukari, and though he's worried about Satsuki, he can't check every shop, so he's like, good thing he didn't, because it would have probably led to a whole bunch of embarrassment and stuff like that. Either way, you already have that misunderstanding with Makina and her captain, but either way, well, Makina's captain rather, which I'm curious if she's going to be able to explain that away or not. But either way, when he meets up with Yukari, he eventually drops her off home, and she's like, hey, you should come over to my place sometime. Like, my mom's been teaching me how to cook. Which he's like, whoa, me being over at Yukari's place alone? He's like, it would be fine. Like, her family's definitely going to be there and stuff like that. But it's also like, well, we know, was it last episode, I believe? Yeah, she bought condoms. So it's like, so there's that element to it. But because of everything, he's still worried about Satsuki, and so he ends up going over to her place and questioning her about like the job, because he's like, yo, like, I know you're desperate for money, and I just want to make sure you're okay, like, because I am still concerned about you. I do care about you, and I want to make sure you're not taking like a shady job or something like that. And I think for her, it does matter to her knowing like, oh, you do care about me. And so, like, she kind of starts massaging him a little because his feet are sore from work. Because she's like, okay, you talk about your day and I'll talk about mine. Like, I'll be kind of a quid pro quo. I always struggle with that. It'll be a quid pro quo type of situation. And now she's massaging his foot, working her way up to his leg, and she's doing all this heavy breathing. It's like a very, like, sensual, intimate moment. And she's getting closer and closer up his leg. He's like, no, like, don't. We can't. And she's like, it's okay, like, you said I could stay close. Now how far can I push this before I break that boundary of childhood friends type of thing? How far can we go as childhood friends? And then the phone starts ringing, and it's like a message from Yukari, And he's like, I'm sorry, I can't. And she's like, oh, I'm just messing with you. You came over here looking so worried and serious. I just wanted to kind of mess with you a little. But I'm like, I don't think, maybe on some level, because she, like I said, it does seem like she likes the power dynamic of, she knows how flustered she can get him. But I think there's also some truth to, like, she was vibing alone in that moment. But maybe she was full, like, messing with him mode. But she says, like, right, like, I'm not that desperate for money. Me and my family aren't estranged. We're just not communicating. Did not go into what that's about. And she's like, I made the decision. I want to live on my own. Once again, she's saying all that, but maybe there is truth to it. But there are probably lies of omission in regards of she's obviously not telling you everything. And she's skipping over a lot of important details. And like I said, some of those might be half truths at best, you know? So, not unless we find out that her family's not alive. Like maybe she lost her family too and she just doesn't want to tell Naoto. Or, like I said, maybe there's other reasons why they're not talking. Even though she said they're not estranged, that they're not communicating right now. I'm curious what that, like maybe she told them like, oh, I want my own independence, and they kind of are very free spirited and they want to give her that space. Maybe that's what it is, or maybe something went down that she's like, I don't want to talk to you guys right now. But you think that still will fall under the category of being estranged, but her new job isn't anything like crazy. It's just I think it might just be another restaurant, but it's just it's some kind of like, I didn't call like, it's like some kind of cow. I wasn't paying close enough attention like what kind of place it is. Like it seems like it might just be another restaurant, but it's like during summer break, like the wages are like really, really high, so that's why she took this opportunity. But yeah, like, you know, there is a sigh of relief from Naoto being like, okay, good. I was up here like stressing and worried about it over nothing. It was all my misunderstanding. But once again, she kind of likes like seeing him so like crazed and flustered. But then he gets a call, and it's not from Yukari, it's from Makina, the other girl in his life, being like, hey, I need you to, like, are you doing anything, like, I think she said, like, this weekend or whatever, like, do you want to go to a fireworks, can you pretend to be my boyfriend? They go to work, and she was like, wait, why won't you do it? He's like, because I'm in a relationship, like, why would you even lie to people say you have a boyfriend? And she was just like, it ended up happening. So it's like, can't you do that, you know, just pretend? He's like, no, I can't do that, because he knows, he's like, that's not fair to Yukari. Also, that would lead to other misunderstandings, which is also what Makina wants. She probably tried to, it's probably because she lied to her captain about their dynamic, and just it spiraled out because other people were probably nearby listening. So she probably said that. Also, it helps her push a wedge bigger between him and Yukari. But then there's also like, you know, good old Naoto being like, well, I have a friend like Toki. You could like, you know, he's a good guy. He's more handsome than me. He's a better dude than, like, you know, so. And then she's like, well, then how about, does that mean you and your girlfriend could come to the fireworks? He's like, oh, wow. Ooh, break time's over. Better get back to it. And she's like, what? So it's like, I love him sidestepping that. But eventually it's probably going to be a situation where they all end up going there. Satsuki will probably end up going. He'll most likely bring his sister too, and probably like Yukari. Yukari's perfectly fine going somewhere, especially if it's with Naoto and his sister. She's perfectly fine with that. So it'll probably be like a big get-together type of thing, rather than like, but Makina will probably still try to use that to her advantage to break Yukari up. It's going to be interesting to see like when she actually meets Yukari, and like whether some of those insecurities come out when it's like, oh my god, she does have big boobs, and maybe she'll start feeling insecure about that, and maybe she'll meet Yukari and be like, oh my god, she's such a ray of sunshine, and holy crap, I don't know what to do. Like, she's going to be such a tough opponent to beat. We'll see what these dynamics look like when the two of them actually meet. Whether it'll be next episode or not, we'll have to wait to see how all this ends up playing out going forward into the next episode. But really, that's all I want to talk about. Till the next time we meet, be happy, be safe, live life to the fullest, and enjoy it. Good day, and goodbye.